Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the very first video in my 2023 garden series. So today I am planting my starter seeds for the season, and I thought I would just come on and do a little life update at the same time as I'm planting, because I haven't done one of these in a little bit. I usually do them like once a year, and I thought just to pass the time it might be good to have a little bit of a chit chat while I do this. I'm really excited. It's mid-April and I need to be able to transplant these vegetables and flowers and stuff out by the end of May. And so I am starting everything today and just really hyped to get going on the garden this year. If you guys have been watching me since last year was my first year doing a garden at our new house, and honestly it went pretty well. I'm going to reflect on that in just a moment once we get into the life update. I first want to show you guys what I bought for this year, because this is the first time I'm doing starters. I've never done this before. I am just kind of gonna wing it, not 100%. I did do some research, but I'm just gonna see what happens. We are in my front entryway, which gets tons of sun. I'm facing the window right now, and it gets pretty warm in here during the day, so I think this is a good spot to put everything. I did not buy lights, but I did buy a starter kit. So I'm going to show you guys that, and then we will get into the planting and the life update. So on Amazon, I got this kit. It was like $25, and it came with 90 of these peat pots. So these are just like the little starter pots. I believe these are biodegradable. Like you can put these direct into the ground. I have to double check on that and make sure I can do that when I do transfer them. I definitely could have gotten plastic and just used them year after year, and I know some people use like yogurt cups or like the plastic trays, but I don't know, this kit just kind of worked out, and so I just went with these. We'll see how they work, and we'll see in future years how I change that up. So it came with 90. Like I said, we are not planting 90 starters today, so I'll definitely have some left over. It also came with these trays, so they obviously are black, so they're gonna pull in that heat to germinate the seeds really well, and they also will catch like the moisture in the water, and it can kind of like dump out the excess water and stuff so that the plants don't get root rot or anything like that. But there's quite a few of those in here. And then it came with lids, which are all just stacked up here. That will keep in that moisture for the germination portion of the planting, keeping it nice and warm in there and like incubating it. And then we have a bunch of little markers to know what is what. I've heard that it can be really easy to just kind of lose track of what is what when it starts to grow. So my rows, I'll be doing a little sign for each row. And then I also got in the kit this set of mini tools, which I kind of thought was pointless at first, but then kind of understand why it came with this now, because these pots are so little. This makes perfect sense for like scooping and stuff. It comes with a little, is this a trowel? Is that what that is? Or is that this? Novice gardener here. Okay, all these, here we go. We got two of these. This one's a little bit thinner than this one. And then we've got the little rake. Correct me in the comments, what the heck is this called? I also got myself a little like gardening set at Target in the dollar section, because the dollar section always just like gets me every time. But it's just like a little floral apron. Honestly, could use this in the kitchen instead of gardening. It's not very heavy duty. But it also came with, hang on, these like raspberry colored gloves, which I thought were cute. And then I got, oh, this is a trowel. So I got a raspberry colored trowel. This was all part of a set, and this is metal. But the gloves and the apron came together. It was like $5. So why not? You know, it has little front pockets. So I figure I'll wear this, maybe not. Figure I could just like throw this on in the video and then like put my little tools in it. This looks kind of dumb. Also, if you hear baby, he is in the living room with Brandon having a bottle and being kind of fussy today. So if you hear him crying, that's why. But he is with Brandon. But we're just gonna jump right in and get this done so that I can get back to him and Brandon and make lunch and everything. I just wanted to chit chat with you guys today and just tell you how things are going. So let's get started. So today, for starters, we are planting like just over half of what I'm planting total. So I'm not planting everything as a starter this year. I went onto the Almanac's website and I actually researched different plants that I wanted to grow and whether they were good indoor, like good to start inside or outside. And honestly, the answer is that a lot of things, like the vast majority of things, you can start inside, but some things do just fine starting outside. So if it didn't absolutely need to start inside, I decided to just start them outside in May. So these are the things that we're gonna start inside today. So I have red bell pepper, strawberries, beefsteak tomato, lavender, pumpkin, marigolds, watermelon, pickling cucumbers, sunflowers, and cherry tomato. And then the other things that we are not starting indoors, I have in this little bag. We have lettuce. I think these were sugar. Yeah, sugar snap peas, dill, carrots, sweet alyssum, or just alyssum. It doesn't say sweet, but alyssum. And onion, yellow onion. Oh, and we're doing potatoes. I forgot to mention that. So I'm gonna be planting like seed potatoes. They didn't have potato like plant seeds where I went at the Agway. So I just decided I'm just gonna literally plant them from potato cube like chunks. Never done that either, so that's going to be a new endeavor, but those will go direct into the ground. I did a lot of almanac research this year, and we are doing a couple things different from last year. So this is obviously the first one, starters. I did not do these last year because we had gotten baby chicks at the same time that I would have been starting this. It was just such a big endeavor. We had to build them a coop. We had to learn how to take care of baby chicks. I was like, you know what? We're gonna put off the garden stuff until we absolutely have to do planting, which was late May. And then this year we are also doing something called companion planting, which is where you place your different plants near each other that are going to benefit each other in some way. So whether that be through pollination, keeping away different pests. So for each of the things that I wanted to grow on the Almanac website, I kind of found what are good companions for them. And some stuff already overlapped, like tomatoes and cucumbers do really well near each other. I was already planning on planting those two things. But then other plants, I had to kind of like add some stuff to the garden to really like optimize like the companion planting, and it ended up working out really well. I ended up with a lot more variety this year, and I've just never grown like 90% of this. Okay, so I'm gonna get started here and reflect first on last year's garden and then talk a little bit more about life lately, how things are going. I also got this bag of potting mix. It's literally seed starting potting mix. I could have gotten a few different things to like mix together, but I just decided to go with this, see how it works. And in future years, if we don't feel this worked very well, I will like make my own concoction. But this was just at the Agway. It was super cheap and easy. And this is the 8-quart bag. I think we will have plenty. So let's talk about last year, because it did not go how I initially had envisioned it. Last year I planted everything direct into the ground on Memorial Day weekend, which in my town, a lot of people have gardens and farms, and I kind of just went with what they were doing, and everyone said that that was planting weekend. So I decided to plant my garden that weekend alongside all of them. What I didn't do was starters, so my plants needed to germinate from seed. The week after Memorial Day weekend, we proceeded to have an entire week of rain and like 50 and 60 degree weather, which for the first week of June is obviously not ideal. And Maine is just like super tricky when it comes to spring weather. You just kind of never know. That's why we wait all the way till like the end of May to plant. But basically what happened was a bunch of my seeds didn't germinate and didn't come up. And I ended up having to go and buy some replacement starter plants. Thank goodness a farm down the road from us had one cucumber plant and one pepper plant left. And then I replanted my tomatoes and one of my watermelon that didn't come up. We ended up having a really good yield for that having happened. Like I was convinced we were not gonna have anything. I was like, the garden's like done for the year, like nothing's gonna come up in time. I actually ended up with a really good yield, but I was already like planning in my head, like what do I need to do different next year? And starters were like the biggest thing. So yeah, it was just like a learning curve. Obviously, you know, we didn't know how the soil was gonna work. It was really like an experimental year, I think. This year we're coming back stronger with a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more research. I'm still very much a beginner when it comes to gardening. I'm not like an expert at all. And I'm sure some of you that are watching that garden are like, nope, she's not doing that right. But I'm trying, and we're gonna just see what works and what doesn't work. And I'm gonna learn a little bit more every single year. And hopefully eventually, you know, 5 years down the road, we have a really huge successful garden. So that's last year's garden and kind of the plan for this year. My plan is to do several videos on the gardening process this year, show you guys the updates and just like kind of how everything is progressing. Be on the lookout for that. I will be doing like a planting weekend vlog, and I'll be showing you more of like the planned layout then, because I do have it planned out, but I'm not going to show it in this video. There's a lot of sticks in this, like a lot. So other than that, let's talk about life. And I have like a whole list of things here that I want to like address because, you know, it's been a minute. Last year I mentioned our other big project was chickens. So they are about a year old now and are doing really well. All 4 of them are doing really well. They are all currently laying. We are getting 4 eggs a day, which has been kind of crazy. We definitely don't eat that many. So we've been giving away eggs to family and friends. And then within the next couple weeks here, we're going to start selling the eggs roadside. There's a lot of like places in our town that do that. And it's just like, you know, honor system with like a lock box. So we're going to be selling packs of 6. And then eventually, if I have enough of the produce from the garden, I'll be selling produce as well. If I have like extra vegetables that I don't feel that we're going to consume before they go bad, I will be selling them. Gonna be making a little roadside stand too. But yeah, the chickens are great. The cats and dog are good as well. I would say the dog had the biggest adjustment period with the baby, and she's still very much adjusting. She is very much a people dog and likes attention 24/7. She's always been like that. And so this was a total shock to her system when we brought the baby home. She is very curious of him and she's very sweet and gentle with him, but she wants our attention a lot. Weather turning and being warmer now has been good because we can be outside a lot more with her. She loves the winter, don't get me wrong, but we kind of can't, like during the day, I can't bring a little baby out in the cold and watch her run around the yard. So she doesn't get as much exercise as she could in the winter. So now that it's getting warmer, I think she'll be getting a lot more of her energy out, and she's already like noticeably a little bit better. So that's a good thing. The cats could not care less about baby. They just kind of were like, whatever. Allie on occasion will come up and like sniff him, and that's about it. They just don't really care, which I'm not that surprised. I turned 29 this past March. Crazy, in my last year of my 20s, which is like bizarre. Brandon is actually turning 30 later this year, which even more bizarre. It was a very low-key birthday, I have to say. I did not really do anything, which was fine by me. I'm so much a homebody now. It's just nice to spend time with family and just relax, and yeah, it was very low-key. Speaking of which, had a baby. If you guys have watched me and you don't know, he's 4 months old tomorrow, which absolutely blows my mind. It just absolutely flies by. Like, people tell you that and you just like, it doesn't even register until like you actually have a child of your own, how fast time goes by. And how quickly they change. Oh my gosh, the milestones are one after the other. He'll be not doing something one day and like the next day he'll wake up and just be doing it. It's crazy. He is so good. We got so lucky with him. He is such a happy baby. That's all I can describe him as, is he's always smiling, he's always laughing. Everything makes him laugh and smile right now, and he's very smart. His motor skills are awesome. He is a really good eater. He also is a really good sleeper, which I thank the heavens for every day of my life. At about 2 months old, I would say, he was just over 2 months, I think, he just randomly started to sleep long stretches. We, from the time he was born, tried to get him onto a routine. And admittedly, the first like month of trying to do that, or the first 2 months, it really wasn't making much of an effect because he was a newborn, and like it's just really hard to do that, obviously. We just kept going with it though. We kept trying to stay on as much of a routine as we could. And suddenly at 2 months old, there was one night we went to bed. He went to bed at like 9:30, and at like 3 in the morning I woke up and I was like, oh my God, is he okay? And like jumped out of bed and like ran over to the bassinet, and he was perfectly fine. He was sleeping. I woke up several times that night just checking on him because we were not expecting him to suddenly just sleep through the night, but he does. Now this is a consistent thing now. He goes to bed at about 9:30. We have like a bottle and jammy time and a bath like every few nights. We don't do one every night right now, but every few nights. And then he falls asleep usually by like 9:30, and he sleeps until like 6 o'clock. It's just life-changing. First of all, like to be able to sleep that stretch is awesome. And he's just been doing that ever since. So we are coming up on the, like I said, he's 4 months tomorrow, which tends to be the time that they can regress. So I'm fully prepared for that to potentially happen. But for right now, I'm pretty happy with the situation. He can continue to do exactly what he's doing. It's totally fine. I do not mind waking up at 6 o'clock because I have been pretty much exclusively pumping, and I have to wake up anyway, so that's really not a big deal. I will take a 6 a.m. wake up over a 3 a.m. wake up any day of my life. He's great. It's awesome. We are totally in more of a routine now with him. He's really like caught on to the routine, I should say. We've been doing it this whole time, but he's really caught on to it and has started to be affected if it changes. So like, for instance, the other night, he got in his jammies a little earlier than usual, and he was so like thrown off when we didn't immediately go into having a bottle. And he was very fussy and like freaking out and confused because we've gotten him into this routine. And so he's very particular. I try to keep his days as routine as possible for him, and it just works. It works really well for us. We really have been enjoying parenthood. Brandon and I have focused on being a team. We take shifts. We definitely try to switch off as much as possible with him. Brandon will come home and like immediately take over where I've had him throughout most of the day. That gives me some time. I'll go make dinner and like have time to myself for a little bit. And then, you know, I'm usually the one that feeds him before bed, so he gets passed off to me for that. And it's just like not allowing the other person to become too overwhelmed and have him for too long. If he's super fussy, like we switch off, and it's been awesome. Being a team, honestly, do not know what I would do without him. It would be really hard, and I really commend all of the single parents out there, because having him as my partner has literally like saved me from postpartum depression, anxiety, all of that. Like, I felt extremely happy, and it has made me feel really good to have a partner that is so supportive and so hands-on with him. Cannot sing Brandon enough praises as far as parenting goes. I think we make a fabulous team. I am still working from home. I am a graphic designer, if you guys don't know. That's like my day job. I wouldn't say I work full-time. I make my own hours, and I work for a friend's company it's kind of like a small agency style company, and very flexible. So I kind of work around Teddy. If he's having a fussy day, I will like work with my computer on my lap and him like up on me sleeping. I'm able to do that. I'm able to, you know, really like shift around my work hours if I need to, depending on how his day's going. If he's napping, great, I'm gonna work. I'm just very blessed to be able to do that. Brandon is still doing his job that he had before. He does aftermarket accessory installations in cars, so like remote starters, heated seats, all that jazz, leather, sunroofs. So he is still working in that industry, and that's been going pretty well. So I've done a bunch of these, and I'm trying to figure out if I should do another tray or not, or if I should like start planting the seeds and then see how many more I need. I'm not sure, but I just loosely packed each one about halfway to 3/4 of the way full. My plan is that I am going to overplant, so I'm going to do more starters than I need, just in case some don't take. I'm going to make the little signs, actually. That's probably the next step. I just made little signs. Overall though, for me personally, parenthood has been just very fulfilling. It's exactly what I needed in my life, if that makes sense. Not that I didn't like my life before, but I felt like there was something missing. I wasn't bored necessarily, but I needed something else. And truth be told, about 2 years ago, I did not want children. And I was very content with my life. And then we moved into this house and I felt very domestic all of a sudden. As you guys know, I used to work at a bridal shop, and before that I was a graphic designer in a corporate office. And so when we moved here, I actually left my bridal shop job and I started working from home, and it gave me a lot more time to do homemaking. With the homemaking and like the domestic kind of job that I suddenly had taken on, I just suddenly had this very strong maternal instinct. And then that's where, you know, the desire to be a mom kind of came from. And it came on very quickly, very fast, and very strong. I just suddenly was like, I want to be a mom. I was worried about my mom instinct not kicking in when I had Teddy. I was worried that I wasn't gonna naturally feel like a mom. And I'm happy to report that I basically went into autopilot and just suddenly knew exactly what I needed to do. It was just a very natural instinct for me. And now looking back on our life prior, there are elements of it, of course, that I miss, but for the most part, I'm just really excited for life with our little guy. He's just such a joy, and I'm just so excited for like the years to come as he gets older and new experiences with him. Okay, so I have my little signs here. Now here's the problem. These trays, I don't know if you can see. First of all, they don't perfectly fit the pots all the way across. There's gaps, which drives me bananas. It's fine. We're gonna work with it. A lot of these I'm planting like rows of 4, and of course there's only 3 going back. So I think for that, I'm gonna just plant 6. So for instance, bell pepper, I'm gonna have 4 plants in the garden for bell pepper, so I'm gonna plant 6 starters. I will say that having a baby in the winter for me was chef's kiss, because recently it's been so beautiful outside and I have felt immense guilt if I don't get outside during the day with him. And some days it just doesn't work. Some days he's just crabby and wants to sleep on me all day, and he just like, he's not having any of it. Sometimes I bring him out to calm him down, but it's kind of like an endeavor because I gotta like, I put him in the carrier and I put the hat, he has to wear a hat. You know, we have to have appropriate clothing on, and it's just kind of like a minute for us to get outside. So I'm glad that he's a little bit older now, and in the summer he's gonna be a little bit older so that it's a little easier to bring him outside. So I'm glad he was born in like the darkness of winter and I could kind of hole up in my house for 3 months. I definitely do like that. Even though I am sad he was born around Christmas, I did not time that well. It's okay, because honestly, he's going to be such a fun age this summer. He's going to be moving into hopefully becoming more mobile, like crawling. Hopefully we'll be starting on some purees and then some solids. It's just going to be so much fun. We also have some little summer outings planned already. So I'm excited to do some fun stuff with him. We honestly have been living basically in the living room. We made this beautiful nursery for him and we barely spend any time in it because a couple weeks in, I just realized that it was significantly easier to have everything pretty much in the living room and our bedroom. So we don't really use the upstairs of our house right now. I got a new laptop. I don't use my office currently. That's been working out for us at the moment. We are planning on doing a playroom upstairs, so we'll be using the upstairs significantly more. But yeah, for right now, we don't really use it. I am just gonna like water these I put signs at the front of each of these little rows. I also have a spray bottle. You know what? I'm gonna do that because it's honestly like that's a lot of water. Okay, cool. For my cucumbers, I am doing, oh, you know what? No, we're gonna do the tomato. Trying to go in order of my list so I don't get confused. Okay, so we've got the beefsteak tomato. These will be really good in sandwiches, I think. And I'm not sure, can you use these for sauce? Because maybe I'll make some sauce. So I'm only doing like a couple plants per species. Hopefully these don't outgrow their pots too quickly. I'm a little worried about that because these pots are little, but, and don't worry, I'm gonna show you guys the trays and stuff afterward. I will do like a close-up of all of them and the setup. So let's talk about our house. We've been in our house officially for about a year and a half. We moved in 2021. Yeah, so 2 years in August. And we've made obviously quite a few changes to it since we've moved. There's a playlist on my channel if you guys are interested in like the renovations we've done. But yeah, we've made some improvements for sure. But one thing we did this year was we actually invested in a wood stove because of oil prices being so crazy high. We needed a alternative. Our house is just simply horrible when it comes to heat. We were blowing through oil. Our oil, it was just ridiculous. And so we decided to invest instead in a wood stove back in the fall. We got a Vermont casting Dauntless, and it's now in our kitchen because we had a wood stove hookup there before. So it's in our kitchen. And we spent most of the winter learning how to use it because it's a huge learning curve. So heads up, if you go put a wood stove in your house, it's not as simple as just tossing wood in and having it burn. It has to have the wood stacked a certain way. You have to have certain types of wood. You have to have it seasoned, which means it's been sitting and drying for a year. You have to learn how to reload it, how to keep your coal bed good. Yeah, it took us most of the winter to figure out how to efficiently run it, though it did keep our house pretty warm, and I will say that it saved us like probably $2,000 in oil. So, but yeah, so that was the newest thing that we did with the house. We have our next project that's coming up, which is securing our basement, getting it to not flood. Because right now it floods, and it flooded really bad back in the fall when we had this massive rainstorm. I don't know if you guys remember, there was like this huge storm. Our basement flooded like 10 inches of water, and we were like, ooh, we need to do something about that. So the next big project that Brandon's doing is a sump pump and a whole new drainage system for the water in the basement. And he's also, I believe, going to insulate the basement at the same time. And he's going to be landscaping the front of the house so that the ground slopes away from the house, because right now it's kind of sloping in towards our foundation in places. We have like an old granite foundation, old house, you know. And so he's just going to be making a bunch of improvements. The next big indoor project is definitely probably the stairs because they are a hot mess. We need like real railings, and we need them to be much safer for him when Teddy's mobile. So that'll probably be the next big one, but I don't think the plan is to do that until the fall. But little improvements and just kind of taking things one step at a time with the house. Owning a house is like, there's always something. There's always something that we need to be doing, and it's a lot. Okay, so I just planted more cucumbers. So I've got two rows of cucumbers. Some are in the other one, and then I've got pumpkin. And I'm gonna move on to watermelons and then some of the flowers. I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to come back once everything is done. I don't want to ramble too much here. I feel like I'm just going on and on about random things, which I guess is what a life update is, but I don't want to bore you guys too much. So I'm going to come back and I will show you my little setup out here. And then in a future vlog, I plan on doing like a spring things vlog coming up. I will show you guys hopefully the progress. So that'll be a couple weeks from now, and hopefully we'll have little baby plants coming up. So please hold and I will be right back and show you guys my setup. So I admittedly did not need this big of a table, but I probably will try to switch it out for a smaller like card table. My mom has one. I just need to ask her to borrow it. But anyway, this is the setup. So I've got them all here. I actually trimmed all of these little signs because they were so tall and they were just sticking up so high in these little pots, and I think they're just made for like, you know, you can put them in the little pots or the bigger pots. But anyway, I cut the bottoms off of them so that they are just shorter. And then also for this purpose, because I realized that I have these lids and the lid needs to be able to go on here, which I think it will now. Yes, okay. So I'll obviously snap those down, but these lids will go on so everything fits under there nicely now. So here it all is: marigold, watermelon, pumpkin, cucumber, more cucumber, cherry tomato, beef tomatoes, or beefsteak tomato, bell pepper, strawberry, lavender, and sunflower. And we will just wait now and see how these go. And hopefully this will be a better endeavor than it was last year, and giving these a head start inside away from the unpredictable Maine spring weather will really help them out. Like I said, I don't have lights, so we're relying on the incubation from these lids and then just like the sunlight in here. So we'll see how they do. They might not do great. It'll be a learning experience. Like I said, last year was a learning experience. This year is probably going to be similar. With such a large new amount of things that I'm growing, I think, you know, it's going to be a learning curve. But anyway, this is the setup. So that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Comment down below, what are you most excited to see me grow in my garden? What do you love growing most in your garden? Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel for more homemaking and lifestyle and gardening and cooking and all that good stuff. I am so excited to be moving into spring and just having so much more content to film. I have a whole lineup, guys, so fingers crossed that I can get to all of it this summer. I am just so pumped to show you everything that we have going on. Thank you all again so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.